Hey y'all, it's Tuesday night. It's 9:30. And it's time to go behind the hedges. I'm Mitch,
This is Matt.
and we're welcoming you here for I don't know if it's a very special edition of Behind the Hedges, but it certainly feels special because tell these fine people what happened. These people who've been living under a rock.
Dun, 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 just like I said they would. The Dogs stunned the Tigers of Clemson. But it wasn't pretty, and that's what we're going to talk about. Hit that intro.
We'll do. Here goes. Music to my ears, baby. So, hey, we got somebody waiting in the wings. Let's go ahead and bring him on so he can help us talk about all the punts.
Hello, right?
Gentlemen. All the punts. Woo.
Big Daddy Gator himself.
Mean, good God.
Do it.
Happy to be here, my friends.
What is Ooh, hey. Who is this? Say your name in the chat.
Say your name, because I don't even know who he is.
Because you're showing up as Facebook user, but I thank you anyway. As unlike my friend, the Papa Gator himself, I do front end web development, including making fancy little videos. So I also wanted to make the fancy little clip from last week when we threw the UGA Clemson game up on our picks, and everybody just said boring. I wanted to add that one because I feel like it would be a good soundbite. Oh, hey,
there he is.
Welcome to the show.
Come on, guys. Who is this cherub-faced young man who's joined us this evening?
And what have you?
It's somebody who got fucking sick and tired of looking 10 years older than he actually was. So it was time to go. It was time to change. So.
And young Brandon and young Dren. That's beautiful.
Brandon is still about 8 years younger than me. So
he doesn't look a day over 12, man.
You don't want to talk about that? Yeah.
All right. Let's get to it. Thank y'all for coming on again. This is 2 weeks in a row. This is a new record.
Yeah. So hey, wait a second here. I think we need to recap something from last week real quick, right? Do we need to, or do we need to hold that off for later in the show? Because I felt like it's worth mentioning that we had a perfect score on the picks last week, right?
We did it.
Yes,
we did it. Perfect score.
Those for dumbass over here.
So anyway, yeah, Matt, go ahead and kick us off. Let's talk business.
All right. So tonight, dear listeners, honored guests, this is Behind the Hedges. We're gonna talk some Georgia football. We're gonna cover what happened this past weekend. And I think as a courtesy, we'll touch on what happened with your respective teams, how you feel, what you like, what you didn't like. With what you saw, but let's go ahead and dive in. Georgia Clemson.
I just want to go on record that of the four of us, I thought that I was the most convinced that Georgia was going to win going in. I didn't have any doubts. Honest to God, Mitch was the one that had the hardest time picking Georgia straight up. Okay, we can go back and look at the tape.
It's on tape. I picked them, but I'm gonna be honest.
I know you picked them, but
I'm gonna give it up privately.
Like, I don't know.
Feel good about this game.
I don't know. I just basically said it was put up or shut up. If they're gonna do it, they got to do it. So I went ahead and picked them.
Here's the thing about this game. I have a lot of feelings about this game. I mean, am I happy that we beat Clemson? You bet your ass. But I got a lot of strange feelings about this game too. Like, this was just, to me, it was weird. We don't see this anymore. We're used to, and this is the rule, okay? This is not the return of old man football. Let me be clear. It is still pass, yards, points. This was the exception to that rule. This game was an anomaly. A lot of little anomalies happened in this game that I don't think should have happened. And, I'm going to give a nod to Clemson in some of what I say. The Clemson Tigers should not be held out of the end zone. That should not happen.
No.
They've gotten over the hump. They've proved themselves. Florida, you said it last week. They are built for this. They got the studs to match Georgia. They got it. I mean, they got the talent. They got the team. They've got the coaches. And they are I mean, Georgia is a commodity in the playoff era. Clemson's a proven commodity. They should not have been held out of the end zone. And I can't wrap my head around how that. I've watched the highlights. I have consumed this game.
Wasn't Georgia
down.
also held out of the end zone?
Right, but with
Georgia's offense was, yeah.
Georgia's offense was held out of the end zone, sure, but like I've seen this movie before. This is a game that Georgia last year before would have lost.
Well, yeah.
It did not shock. My jaw's not on the floor that Georgia's offense couldn't produce points against Clemson's defense.
Well,
my jaw is on the floor that Clemson, as far as touchdowns, got shut out. I can't wrap my head around that.
It's the same formula that basically any major game that Dabo's lost in the past 7-8 years. The best way to beat a Dabo Swinney team is to stop the run game. Make their quarterbacks make decisions down the field. And Uungalele, or however the hell you pronounce his name, couldn't do it.
Makes it easy. DJU.
I'm multitasking, guys, so bear with me.
He could. I mean, he couldn't. He didn't get it done. He choked. I hate to say that about the kid, but he did. But that's what got Kelly Bryant beat in the playoffs. He had no running game. Georgia shut down Clemson's running game. They just didn't exist. And when they had to pass it, I mean, how many they ended up with? 7 sacks.
I can't believe how good DJ Uiagalelei looked versus Notre Dame last year.
Yeah,
compared to how piss poor he looked versus Georgia.
That's what I'm
and that's not an insult at Georgia's defense.
I can't connect the dots. So help me. I get it. Our defense is elite. Not this elite. I didn't think.
I have a theory that the 2020 football season was the beginning of the end of normal football as we know it. It's pre-NIL. It's pre-transfer portal. Everybody gets an extra year of eligibility, so rosters are going to be weird for the next 3 years probably. Yeah. I feel like Notre Dame's 2020 season is just the ultimate aberration, and I feel like Georgia brought Clemson back to reality on Saturday of, hey, you guys had a really good 5-year run. Unfortunately, there's only been like 3 coaches who have ever been able to have more than a 5-year run, and that's like Saban and Bear Bryant. And everybody else has flashes in the pan. And I think Clemson got a pretty rude awakening that their flash in the pan has just about died out.
Yeah. Let me ask you this then. Let me follow up on that. You picked Clemson to win. Mm-hmm. In your mind, if you're thinking, I might be wrong, did you ever see a scenario where you would be wrong and Clemson would not score a touchdown and be held to 2 yards on the ground?
No.
And me either. I'm absolutely being real talk right now. There is no scenario. And when I came, I had my phone turned off all day. I got home. I told my wife to shut up because she was watching it. Don't say a word. She was like, okay, go downstairs. I come downstairs. I pull up the game on my screen here. And it's the 10-3 score. And I'm like, oh, man, my computer's not working. They're showing the second quarter. What the hell is it? No, it's the fourth quarter with 2 minutes to go. What the fuck? Mm-hmm. And then I go straight to game stats. I'm like, that's a glitch. That didn't happen. There's no way that happened. And I have not seen a shred of the game. I watched the last 2 minutes live. Now, we're all going to dogpile on our offense. I'm not here to defend our offensive performance. It was serviceable. It's not as catastrophic as some of our enemies make it seem. We didn't get what we want, but we got what we need. Yeah. However, 10-3 in today's age. No.
I personally loved it.
I mean, I'm not saying I hated it, but
I'm a defense in the 3 yards in a cloud of dust guy. So,
God, here's the thing, though.
I got through my game on Thursday. To be honest, to be perfectly honest,
with all the time and effort and energy that Georgia has put into getting Todd Monken in there and getting JT Daniels in there and getting all these receivers and recruit, you know what I mean? Like just arms race, just building up all these offensive weapons. And here it is. And the only thing that Georgia fans want to talk about is, oh my God, we're going to throw 90 yards down the field and score a touchdown on every play. You know what I mean? Like it's like this sort of thing. And then the curtains open and here it is. And it's just this snarling freaking Wolverine of a defense, you know what I mean? Just like ripping and shredding, and the offense is just like kind of pew 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 pew. You know, like that's not even that. So,
I'm not going to officially say that there's causality here, but you do have somebody on your coaching staff by the name of Will Muschamp.
mhm.
And that game felt very Muschampian to me.
Muschamp.
Did it
Love
not?
If you mean by offensive
Remember when they
ineptitude,
beat
okay,
us
yeah,
when
but
we were hot?
but
Remember when they
just
upset us?
a level of defense that just it's what you want from SEC schools, but then the level of offense that makes you remember it's not 2010 anymore. And you're just like, wait a minute, like Saban got his run by playing that style, and then you have the guys who came off his tree in Pruitt, Muschamp, McElwain. They follow this identity of power run and stout defense. Let's do it. But then Saban hired Lane Kiffin as his OC in 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
So he's just been airing it out since then, and they've won titles. I mean,
Well,
you got to have both nowadays.
I mean,
You can't just
yes,
power run.
yeah, you're right. I don't know that that's necessarily exactly the case of what went on this weekend. What went on with Georgia this weekend is very similar to what went on with Florida versus Oklahoma in the playoffs or in the postseason last year. Florida was missing all their guns, and they couldn't compete with a high octane Oklahoma team with their limited offensive production, right? And I'm not. This isn't an excuse. It's just, we threw passes to a dude named Lad McConkey.
120
what the
pounds.
name?
I won't even know who that is.
Steel
right?
Chambers.
I wonder if he's related to Phil McConkey.
This is a tangent, but Steel Chambers, linebacker for Ohio State, best name in college football that I've heard so far. But he's a converted running back. Georgia and Clemson and Ohio State pull in 5 stars, 4 stars across the board every year.
Mhm.
How do any of you guys have depth issues? I don't understand it.
That's a legitimate question, Ethan. But the thing is that when you lose, we didn't lose a key piece. Go find a receiver who started for Georgia that made any sort of significant impact on a team last year, except for maybe Jermaine Burton, who was also hobbled with injury, right? Kearis Jackson returned kicks and punts, and that's it, right? George Pickens out, right? Where is Darnell Washington, Arik Gilbert? Where are these guys? You know what I mean? They're just not there.
All those guys you named, they were on the team last year. I mean, it's not like these guys went to the NFL. They've been in the program. Like, there are 5 stars coming in, and somehow, like you said, when you're down your bullets, I saw it against FAU to where it's like last year, Kyle Pitts just gets inside leverage on a linebacker, catches a slant, and takes it to the house for 60 yards. Against FAU, we couldn't get any separation. So that's worrisome to me, and I get what you're saying. I have trouble accepting, we have the best recruiting class in the country 3 years in a row. But also all of our weapons are gone.
Well, but where do those?
Some of the weapons are on defense too. Now some of the weapons are punting the ball.
Look at where they're funneled, and then look who we're missing. And I'm not going to lean on injuries for a crutch. I'm not going to do that because you are right on paper. If you're going to pull it, Kirby said it. You're elite or you're not. Now the defense is. The offense did not appear to be. 256 total yards for Georgia, 180 for Clemson, 135 in the air for Georgia, 178 for Clemson, 121 on the ground for Georgia, 2 for Clemson. There are all valid points that you could make on why this is just strange to me, everything I'm looking at. And everybody's right in a way. I'm having a hard time just like swallowing this pill. I'm glad we got the win, but I mean, do you think Georgia's offense is inept, or are they limited and also going against another defense that the nation should also be talking about? Everybody's talking about Georgia. Everybody's talking about Georgia, and they should. You also need to be talking about Clemson. This wasn't frickin' Vanderbilt we were trying to grow these guys up against. This was Clemson. They got 5 stars flying all over the field, too. So is it the perfect storm of we don't have our pieces, plus we're going against some dudes? I mean, Jermaine Burton was trying to block a 5-star cornerback who has lived up to his billing and couldn't do it because his ankle's sprained. I mean, he's only had 15 practices in a 45-practice fall. I
mean, to me, go ahead, Jermaine.
I think you're right. I honestly think it was a perfect storm. Your offense isn't all there yet, and you guys are playing up against a stout defense that could, but could win a national championship with the right circumstances. I mean, it also could be a situation where JT Daniels is just a modern day Jay Barker, and he's just there to distribute the ball and let his defense carry them to a national championship, like what happened in the 92-93 season with Bama. Or he could be a Craig Krenzel who barely survives in, was it 2001 when Ohio State beat Miami?
In 2001, I think it was
the Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
It
was 02, I believe. I think 01 Miami won, and then
the 01 season, but the game was played in 02, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but that's so you. I mean, you could be looking at something like that, which is not a fun season to go through, especially if you like offense. But I honestly think they're going to get there. I honestly believe that. I really do. It's just, I mean, they've got.
So let me ask a question then.
Yeah.
What would, if you're pretend for a second? I'd like to hear this from Dren and Ethan. Pretend for a second that you're a Georgia fan, okay? And what would you need to see Georgia do against UAB this weekend? What would make you sleep a little better at night?
Consistent effort. I mean, a score. I mean, I'd like to see 14 points every quarter if you could get it. I mean, UAB. There's no reason why UAB belongs on the same field with Georgia, except that they have an exceptionally good. Bill Clark is a damn good football coach. He's not going to have the athletes that Georgia has. So I would. You just need some kind of consistency. Just keep, as Hank Schramm would say, keep matriculating the ball down the field, put it in the end zone a couple times a quarter. Outscore them by 4 or 5 touchdowns, and I would be happy. I don't think that's unreasonable.
4 or 5 touchdowns, Dren says, if he were a Georgia fan against UAB.
I mean, that's what I would expect. That's what
Florida,
I would hope.
what you got?
I'm not too far off from Dren. I mean, I feel like Clemson, there's that benefit of the doubt to where it's like maybe their defense is that good.
Yeah.
Sure.
Look at the question. Our viewers are asking the same question. Like,
I mean, maybe you're down your best offensive weapons and you go up against the top 5 defense in the country, you're going to struggle. Sure. I think that if you go up against UAB and you score less than 42, it's going to have some questions. I think that without, like you guys should be up 28-35 to nothing going into the third quarter and let the backup guys get some reps.
I'm going to agree with our guests on this wholeheartedly. I want to say that I don't mean to cut you off, but I do want to just kind of sort of piggyback on what Florida said earlier. If you got all this depth and you've got all these stars and these studs, that's honest. I mean, it's a good question. Where was it for Clemson's offense? They got Justin Ross back. EJ was out there. They had Ngata. They returned 4 starters on that line. 4. I don't want to hear no more bullshit.
But their defense was banged up. Their defense wasn't at full strength either.
In their game.
Yeah, I feel like unlike Georgia, Clemson was breaking in a new quarterback and running back. And sure, they had Justin Ross, but is he new or is he coming back? I mean, he missed an entire year of football.
It still begs the question, where's your depth? You're elite or you're not. I mean, if it applies to Georgia, it's got to apply to Clemson. And their defense, they were missing one guy. They were missing their tackle, but don't get me wrong. They got one tackle they were missing on defense. The rest of those dudes are doomed.
Didn't their linebacker get a targeting at the beginning of the game?
They actually escaped the game without a targeting, and Mikey Allday can confirm that. He was very happy.
Okay.
Silver lining was that Skalski did make it through it, folks. Skalski did make it through a whole game without targeting anybody.
Had he been playing for Ole Miss or Louisville, that probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to make a point. Go back to a point that you guys had made previously. You guys kept saying how badass that D-line was. You really did.
I didn't think it was this badass, Dren. I did not. Look, I watched today to prep for this show. There's a play they were backed up in their own end zone. Jordan Davis, I don't know how he didn't get called for something. He picks up their guard by the shoulder, by the chest plate.
Matt said he picked him up by the titties.
Picked him up by the titties and walked him back 4 steps almost into DJU. That should not happen. Okay, I'm glad that. I mean, great. I'm talking noise. I'm glad that happened. Let's be realistic. That should not happen to a Clemson starting offensive lineman. Yeah, I knew Davis was good. Not that good. I mean, damn.
Here's one for you. Here's one for you guys. I want you to consider this. This same defensive front is the same, minus Azeez Ojulari, is the same defensive front that played against Cincinnati last year in the bowl game. And in the past 2 games, Georgia has a total of 15 sacks in the past 2 games. 15 sacks. When was it, Matt? Was it 2018 that Georgia was dead last in the SEC in sacks?
Yeah, we've
Finished
seen
dead last.
talk. The narrative was that Georgia has regressed, and in some cases that is true. I'll admit it. The truth is the truth. Defensively, a little bit. I did not know that stat until you told me last night that, I was thinking, 7 sacks. That's awesome. And you're like, yeah, well, we had 8 against Cincinnati and almost lost that game. So I don't want to hear. I think we feasted early, we feasted often, and we rattled DJU, and he never recovered.
Yeah.
However,
I think the same thing happened in the O-line.
both of those defenses checked every box they needed to check. They were going to take away the pass and the deep threat. They were going to mitigate the run. Done. We were going to stop the run completely and affect the quarterback. Done. And the result was 10-3.
I feel like there's more, just my last thing. I feel like there's more question marks around DJU and Clemson now than there were before the game.
That's probably fair. Yeah. I was wondering something. I was like, man, this guy is, it's like you go to the commercial break and you watch the Dr. Pepper commercials and the guy's on the commercial.
Yeah.
And then you go back to the game and you're like, wait a second, that guy's on the commercial. You know what I mean?
And the whole Bryce Young, it reminds me of 2010 when Brantley and what was the guy from Texas, and there was like 4 or 5 schools that were breaking
Vince
in.
Young.
Vince, or it was those after Vince, like whoever replaced Colt McCoy, Garrett Gilbert, maybe. It was after Tebow and Colt McCoy left, so it was whoever. But there was like 4 or 5 big time schools like USC, Texas, Florida. Everybody was breaking in a new quarterback.
So it's been like 2010.
And it was 2010, and that's how I feel like this year is. I mean, you got Bama, Ohio State, Clemson, Florida, but we're not really even in that conversation yet. Texas. I mean, there's a ton of big time schools that are starting quarterbacks for the first time. And then you got the Georgia, who JT had half a season. You got Oklahoma with Spencer Rattler. That those guys, you would expect them to come in and to be demonstrably better. But, JT Daniels, DJU, Bryce Young, they all have that California connection. And only one of them looked like he was actually ready to be a college quarterback. And Bryce Young absolutely lit it up. So I feel like, to me, I wasn't sure of DJU replacing Trevor Lawrence, but clearly he was probably the worst out of everybody that came through and kind of took the reins over these big-time programs in my mind.
I mean, the results speak for themselves. I'll say this. I'm not defending. I'm not going to defend the offensive. I would have not had these strange feelings if it had been like 17-14 or 20-17, something like that. Kind of low scoring, but a close game. I picked the Dogs to win late and close. I didn't expect this. I will say this. I'm going to take this away from the offensive performance of Georgia. Again, not what we wanted, but we got what we need. In the last 2 minutes of that game, everybody and their mother, including Clemson, knew we were going to run that ball and run out that clock. And we walked them fuckers down the field. And did it with like some flair. Like Zeus decided to do his best Herschel impersonation and run over their safety like Bill Bates.
Was it Tony Goodrich? We're going to forget about Bill Bates.
Bill Bates impersonation. Like everybody, here it comes. It's up the middle. There was nothing fancy. It's like we're going to run this clock out and come on.
You guys can go belly.
And they did it.
Until you stop.
We got what we needed. Clemson didn't get what they needed. And dude, there was a series where they were like in a couple of series. They're in the red zone. You don't keep them out of the end zone when they're that close. Not in the last 5-6 years, do you?
Not typically, no.
In
fact, how many times has Dabo had a team not score a touchdown?
Not.
It's been like 2011, 2010, somewhere.
Was that the first time they have not scored a touchdown in Dabo's tenure at Clemson?
In the Dabo era, yeah, I think it's the fewest points since 11. They haven't been held to 2 yards rushing since 1947. That I did dig up. Like that, I'm happy, but it's weird, man. It's weird.
He had a game against. I'm trying to think if they even the first game after Dabo took over. from Bowden was at Georgia Tech, and I can't remember if they even scored in that game because Tech just beat the piss out of them. They were beating the piss out of them in the first half. I do remember that. I don't even remember what score that game was. I just remember they looked really pathetic at the time.
Okay, well,
Not really expected.
I mean, is this maybe some of the attrition of the Dabo Swinney coaching tree? I mean, Jeff Scott at USF, you start to lose some of those people around you, especially when you're a CEO type of coach. Maybe the guys with the good ideas are starting to get their own
I
jobs.
think Brent Venables has overstayed his welcome. I honestly
You think so?
I think he is. I think
I
he's
think-
waited too long.
I think defensive
Yeah.
coordinators have a window of opportunity to
I think
either
he's missed it.
propel themselves into a head coaching job or change schools. After 5 years, everybody in your conference has you figured out. Your rivals have you figured out. I'm with Dren. I think Brent Venables is a great defensive mind. I think he's overstayed his welcome, and it's time to either become a head coach or come be a different defensive coordinator. Maybe at Florida.
before we move on to Florida and Tennessee, I want to ask a question, sort of a big picture question that I've been thinking about a lot today. Do you guys think that after this loss, and we'll make it even bigger, do you think, because before we got to this game, the narrative seemed to be, well, whoever loses is in good shape. They're fine. Now, and I'm not going to share my feelings yet. Now there's a lot of talk that Clemson is screwed for things that are outside of their control with how the ACC performed. Do you guys think that a team like Clemson should be eliminated from playoff talk week 1 with a loss like this? Because I don't. I really don't.
I think I would say that typically no, but there is something to be said. The ACC, man, they S the B this weekend. Let's see, did anybody from the ACC win a game that wasn't played against another ACC opponent?
All the ranked teams lost. Every single one of them. Florida State had a chance to shock Notre Dame and didn't get it done. Admirable effort. Didn't get it done.
Who'd have thought?
They're talking big. There's big talk that Clemson doesn't have anybody to make up their homework with. If it's
So
like
the question you're
I
asking,
don't think it matters.
Clemson, it's Georgia. Sorry,
I don't think it matters.
so the question. Let's ask this question:
I don't think that's fair.
Who goes to the playoffs? A 12-1 Clemson who wins the ACC, or a 12-1 Georgia who beats Clemson but loses in the SEC championship? Which one do you take to the playoffs?
So is that assuming we got Ohio State and Oklahoma at 12?
I'm assuming that everybody else is in, and these are for the last 2 spots. Just
Yeah, then definitely Clemson.
I mean, you can't ignore conference champion, which sucks.
Yeah, I mean,
What about head-to-head? Does head-to-head does it not matter at all?
I think what the topic, if this scenario came to fruition, you know what the topic would be? 2014 Virginia Tech versus Ohio State.
Also,
Expansion would also be one, yeah. But that they got waxed by an unranked team the first game of the season, proceeded to wax everybody else, and went on to win the first playoffs. I mean, I think that it being the first game of the season gives Clemson more benefit of the doubt. It also gives, I'm sure, you guys a little bit of breathing room to where it's like, it's the first game of the season. We were missing some stuff. We'll get it together. This was probably going to be the worst showing of the year. Clemson can say the same thing. And if it comes to be reality, then no, I don't see a way you put a conference runner-up in over arguably the second, definitely the top 3. I mean, Big 12, Pac-12, they're useless.
So
ACC, Ohio State, and
Alabama in 2017.
Well, I always go back when you talk about a team losing early in the
They
season.
didn't even play.
Yeah, but I always go back to a team losing early in the season and ended up getting the national championship by the end. I always go back to Florida State in '98 because Florida State, second or third game of the year, absolutely gets the shit stomped out of them by NC State. I mean, it was the game that made Torrey Holt a first round draft pick in the NFL draft in that year if he wasn't already won already. But they managed to make it all the way through the conference and beat everybody, including Florida. Now, granted, it did take Miami, Edgerrin James having the game of his life against UCLA and A&M upsetting K-State in the Big 12 championship game to get all that done, but they still recovered and made it. And that, that of course that's the first computer year, when they played Tennessee in the Fiesta Bowl.
It is
So,
already.
I don't think it's early. I don't think it's a death knell to the quality of the team that I think Georgia is the lost to. I don't think they're out by any means at all.
Yeah, I don't agree with them being just written off. And there's a lot of nuance. There's some situational stuff that would have to fall the right way. But if it's 12-1, Georgia, who beat Clemson, smashes the East, loses close to Bama, versus Clemson, who's 12-1 and wins the ACC, I'm taking Georgia. And we've already been down this road because Alabama didn't even play for a conference title, and they still got in. So I don't want to hear that.
And how'd that turn out for them?
Yep.
Well, it turned out bad.
They won a national championship.
But we could do the same thing. So that's what I'm saying.
I'm not
set the
convinced.
precedent.
If candies and nuts were wishes and butts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
We'd all have Merry Christmas. Thank you, Coach Majors, for that one.
Hey, before you get started, Dren, let me just let everybody know we are 30 minutes into this dive.
Okay.
Is this something we want to hammer on anymore, or do we have anything else?
It's your show.
It's your show. It's also the only game really that was relevant in my opinion. I'm happy to talk about Florida. If you guys want to dive into around the SECs around the countries.
I do want to ask.
Let's dip our toes into Florida and Tennessee. How you guys feel? What you like? What you
don't. Well, we got some picks coming up that feature. I think at least Tennessee is featured in some of the picks. But
I will do two things. Also, the two things I like, I'll save my grapping for Thursday. Two things I like: 213 yards of total offense given up by the defense. D-line played particularly well. We showed aggression and anger that I have not seen in years. We actually went up and tackled people this year. It was fun to watch. I also like the fact that we had two 100-yard rushers, both Jabari Small and Tyon Evans. Both had 116 yards each. And they did a lot, and they did some road grading. So that I was pleased about. But like I said, I'll get into my grapping on Thursday. I will say that. Well, I'll get to this other point when we get to the picks. Ethan.
I have similar feelings towards Emory Jones as I'm sure a lot of Clemson fans do towards DJU, and that.
You need to see this week's SEC shorts.
You can't help but ask yourself, how do you still look this bad? And let me preface this with, I am an Emory Jones defender, much like I was a Felipe Franks defender. I am fine being on the wrong side of history. I also like McElwain until like 2017. So yeah, I have some hot takes. They're wrong. I live with it. But Emory looked like he was doing pretty well. Our offense looked good. And then Mullen subbed in Anthony Richardson for the pre-planned, already talked about, we all knew it was coming, third drive. Anthony Richardson proceeds the ball out, drives on the field. We get to like the 5-yard line, 10-yard line, and his helmet comes off. And so Emory has to come back out. Emory comes out, poor read, stares down the receiver, throws a pick. And then he after that point, he just didn't look comfortable. He didn't look confident. He didn't look like he was in a flow. And then you add in Anthony Richardson's stellar performance, and I just felt like the dude's confidence just got crushed. And I'm hoping that USF is the prettiest slump buster we've ever seen. That's really what we need, and I feel good about that. But overall, our defense wasn't spectacular. We give up 350 to FAU. No, 2 turnovers. They're both forced fumbles, so no picks. In fairness, it was about 120, 150 or so yards until the fourth quarter when we let the second and third stringer guys come in up 28-0. But still, you kind of want a little bit more explosion than that when you're beating up on these teams. 400 rushing yards was nice to see, most in Dan Mullen's career, so that's fun.
What did you guys finish with, like 550 something?
Yeah, we had 153 passing and 400 even rushing. So 160 of that came from our backup quarterback. So that's, I don't feel like it really told me anything. It made me feel better, made me feel slightly worse, but I don't really glean a whole lot from it because it was kind of a nothing burger.
Okay. I don't want to comment on anything with Drins because you're talking about gripes. I got some gripes later, but So do you think, Ethan, that is that it for Emory Jones, or are we
No.
right in that? Okay.
There's, we have a pretty toxic fan base. Even by my own opinion, I hate our fans. So
Something we have in common.
Yeah.
Hey, I've gotten almost more fights with Tennessee fans than I have anybody else.
Yeah. You just kind of want to shake them and just say, "What's wrong with you? Do you guys not, people bitching and moaning about, Mullen doing this, Mullen doing that?" And it's like, dude, at least I can watch the game. I mean, when McElwain was there, it's like if we ever got down 2 touchdowns, it's like, well, I'm gonna go play video games or something. I don't know. This is a lot. I mean, it's just not happening. And then when Muschamp, if you ever got down a touchdown, it's like, well, unless our defense gets a pick 6, we're kind of screwed. But I personally think Emory, he's going to be the guy, unless he really struggles against USF. I think that he looked good until he didn't. And for me, Emory's always had that kind of mentality. It seemed like he was puking during the bowl game, and he's always just been kind of a weird guy, I guess. And it seems like once his confidence gets shaken, once he gets rattled, it's a wrap. And so I'm hoping USF comes along and greases the wheels, and we don't really have to see too much of Anthony Richardson, because ahead of the Alabama game, the more hullabaloo there is about Anthony Richardson, the worse it bodes for us. I was really hoping Emory would come out and just grab the reins and come out and have a nice 250 and 75.
I was waiting to say something about that. It's like you guys don't have time to be answering questions. You need to know. You need to know the answer. You don't have time to figure things out. We had Alabama game 3 last year, and it was, game 1 we're like, DeJuan Mathis, Stetson Bennett, you know what I mean? And then shit, Alabama's waiting right around the corner here, Yeah. So
only team to lead them last year, though.
Yeah, well, it's true.
Lead them? Good job, dude.
Yeah, we had a lead on Alabama. It is true.
That was our claim to fame with Stetso Baggins. So picks.
Let's do it, guys. I spent some time at work today making some fancy little overlays here. So I also got Josie's official picks too. Okay. So I will share with you what they have, and I will also track ours.
I can promise you.
So here we go. How about this one? First one up, man. Not wasting any time at all. These 2 teams have been greatly debated, particularly by Matt and myself. We sort of had Georgia and Florida in that top tier in the East, and then these 2 teams in that second tier, followed by Tennessee, South Carolina, and Vandy. Right out of the gate, here we go. We're going to find out who's better, Missouri or Kentucky. Now, I know last week Missouri beat Central Michigan, was it?
Yes.
30. I got it written down here. They beat them by 10, 34-24. Yep. Missouri wins, and Kentucky beat ULM, 45-10. So they drubbed them pretty good. You guys get to watch either of those games?
I saw a little bit of Kentucky in Louisiana Monroe. I mean, not really anything to say. I will say this. I think Will Levis is probably the best shot at a Heisman finalist that Kentucky's had since Tim Couch.
That is the truth, son.
That is one for Andre Woodson.
He had a good game, but he had a good game against the last year that statistically one of the worst defenses in the country. They were 123 out of 128. So, and then Missouri's defense balled out. They really did, even though they gave up 24 points to the Jim McElwain led Chippewas.
They gave up 475 yards too, Dren. Like what?
Blaze Aldridge, 10 tackles, 8 solo, 3.5 sacks.
That's a good stat line.
It's a good stat line playing against a much better team, I think. I mean, I just if Missouri's defense can do that, and they can generate some kind of pass rush, I think they can win. I mean, the line's anywhere from 3.5 to 5.
The line that I saw was 4.5, and I know that some of these lines shifted. So they're 4.5 again. So I know that some of the lines shifted, and they will continue to shift. I don't imagine it'll get that far away. It won't get below 3 or above 7.
I think it's going to be pretty close. I
think a one-score game. I'm just looking here. I mean, I think Ethan said that they put up. What you said 553? Is that right? 553.
Yeah.
Guess who was one notch above you on the total offensive boards? It was Kentucky with 554. They put up one more yard than Florida, and threw for 3.
Levis went 18 for 26 for 367, 4 touchdowns and a pick.
Yeah.
Chris Rodriguez Jr. went 19 for 125 and a touchdown.
Yeah.
So Wan'Dale Robinson was five catches for 125, couple touchdowns. So
and Joshua Ali is. It's like
Josh Ali had
Wan'Dale Robinson and Ali. Kentucky. This offense, I'm high on them, man. I don't blame you.
Mitch is the biggest non-Kentucky fan.
It's Kentucky.
It's true. It's true. I want to see them do well.
It's Kentucky. At some point, and I'm a Tennessee fan saying this, yes, so I accept all the shit I get from it. At some point, Kentucky's going to fuck it up. They managed.
Well, that might be true. That might be true.
They forget how to count.
Let's get this.
Who are you taking?
I'm taking Missouri. Missouri covered.
Missouri in the points. All right. I'm going to just piggyback right off of Dren and say, Dren, you may be right. Kentucky might bone it at some point, but it ain't going to be this Saturday. Yeah. Go ahead and count them cats, baby. I'll lay all 4.5 of them points. What about you, Matt?
I'm going to take Kentucky, man. They've just been on this slow burn rise where they just get tougher and more just difficult to deal with. They're getting better every year. Okay. Missouri's still one of those weird teams. You don't know what you're going to get with Missouri.
Yeah.
They come out and beat the shit out of you, or you beat the shit out of them. But Kentucky just every year they take little steps to get better. I'm going with Kentucky.
And Missouri, don't forget, Missouri has the history of being the team where you go, how the hell did they make the championship game again?
Yep.
So
Kentucky.
I see that.
I'm also going Kentucky, but Dren, really
Missouri does some weird shit, man. And
I really wanted to go with Missouri. I feel like what's his name, Connor Bazelak, their quarterback.
Well,
he's the truth.
Dren is tied for the lead in this contest. Ethan, you might as well pick against him. Right?
Yeah, I have no choice.
Or maybe you're gonna follow him to start him. Hitch your wagon.
No, you guys aren't that far ahead of me yet.
Yeah,
it's still week 1.
Hey, man. Kentucky, man. Kentucky's not just
also
you walk into.
I hate Kentucky. The fact that Mitch is I mean, they hurt Felipe, they hurt Tebow. I didn't care about them until they broke the streak that we had going. So, and once they broke that 31-year streak, they can burn in hell for as long as
with the quarterback that was, if it was possible, more happy-go-lucky than Felipe Franks.
Yep.
I mean, that's hard. That's hard for me to stomach. But
it is.
All right, picks are in. What do we got next? Oregon at Ohio State. Let's do it.
Now, this one I know for sure moved. I saw this one actually go up to 14.5, which is huge. Anything more than 14 is you're getting some 3-score type territory. 13.5 is a little more comfortable, but. So keep that in mind. People are really high on Ohio State there. Dren, you kick it off the last one. I'll kick this one off. I am going to take Ohio State here. Yes, they did not look especially great against Minnesota. They out-yarded Minnesota 495 to 408. Oregon beat Fresno and did not out-yard them 358 to 373. But here's the problem. I think Kayvon Thibodeau he might be done, and he also might be one of the best football players in the country. And he might be done. That might have been the saving grace. I think C.J. Stroud and what's the running back's name? Mayan Williams, Master Teague. Those guys. I as bad as I hate to say it, I think the Buckeyes are gonna roll there.
I'll go. I agree. I mean, Fresno State, she ain't what she used to be, and so I don't look at it as really kind of a hardcore tune-up for the Ducks. They certainly weren't facing somebody that was the quality athlete of Muhammad Ibrahim. Get well soon, kid. Sorry to see you go down.
I think he's done. I honestly think he's done too, Dren.
I think he was done. They
was balling out so hard.
Yeah, and he. I mean, I think if he's not the best back, and if he was not the best back in the Big Ten, he's damn close. So I mean, he put up what? Let me look again real quick. I just had it in front of me. He put up 163, and had he not got hurt, probably would have gone for 2 bills. So in terms of the quality of the competition, Ohio State had a much tougher task in front of them going into Minnesota, which was Minnesota's expected to win some games. I don't think anybody expected them to beat Ohio State, but they didn't expect them to be doormats either. So yeah, I think Ohio State's going to beat the foie gras out of them.
Foie gras.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I'm going to Ohio State. Anthony Brown saved Oregon's season with that scramble. I mean, Oregon squeaked out of there with a win, and you shouldn't have to do that over this Fresno State team. I don't think they're going to be able to hang with Ohio State. I think this one might get a little nasty.
The days of Pat Hill glory are long gone at Fresno.
Yeah. Jeff Tadford's not going through that door.
No.
There are very few things in the world I hate more than the Florida Gators. One of those things is the Ohio State Buckeyes. The only thing I hate more than that is being wrong. And I ain't going to be wrong. Ohio State rolls.
Okay.
Go down.
Okay. All right. Sure enough. There we go. Let's see here. What are you talking about here, Preston? Little column A, little column B. What you was that about how bad was Clemson offense bad, or was Georgia defense good? Yeah, little column A, little column B.
I don't even know what that means.
Excuse me while I go.
We had a comment that came in from one of our viewers. All right, so next up we got yes. Here we go.
It has arrived.
Pitt is traveling down to is it still Rocky down there on Rocky Top?
And Pitt is favored in this game.
Yeah, Pitt's a 3.5 favorite now. I actually saw that one go up to 4 at some point.
It's gone from 2 to 4.
2 to 4.
It opened at 2.
That ain't the direction you want to be going in. But I believe that whose turn is it here? Matt, why don't you go first on this one?
All right, put my pretty face back up on the screen so I can see myself.
That's all Matt's here for.
Wow. I mean, that's typically what Matt does everywhere he goes.
Let me see now. 3.5, Pitt at Rocky Top. Man.
Give it to us in the dusty roads.
I just want to say, baby, they trying to put hard times on them Volunteers, baby. They trying to run them out of Neyland Stadium. No score, no victory, no hope. But it ain't going to happen. I'm taking the Volunteers to protect the SEC and send Pittsburgh back to Pennsylvania with a whooped ass and a black eye, daddy.
Holy crap.
That's as good as I've heard.
He committed to it.
That was beautiful.
Oh, my God. Matt with Tennessee. All right.
I'm going to take the Vols on this one, man. We've beat up on y'all enough. I'm not going to accept that Pitt is going to come down there and win. Y'all got to do something because it's bad. We know it's bad. We've talked about it. Is it bad enough where Pitt can come in your house and win? I'm not taking Pitt. Tennessee.
Yeah. Auburn singing your praises down here, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Tidwell. I appreciate you.
I also had to go Tennessee here.
Wow.
Not because I believe in Tennessee, but just because I don't believe in Pitt at all. I think Joe Mountain can throw that football over their heels. I think that he is going to do just enough in Josh Heupel's offense to get past the fighting Narduzzi's from Pitt.
Wow. Dren,
Do
you want to go last?
Let me preface this. I'm sorry. Pitt wins, but Tennessee covers. I'm sorry.
You're right. I get you.
Record. Yeah. Okay.
You're taking Tennessee and the points.
So Pitt today announced that Jackie Sherrill was going to be their honorary captain for the Johnny Majors Classic. And my first thought is, what the fuck's he going to go do? Go to the 50-yard line and castrate a bull? I mean, what purpose does that serve? Having one of the most hated coaches ever. Jesus. Even his own peers hated Jackie Sherrill. Okay, back in the 90s, they did a poll. They said, if you had a son, which college coach would you least like him to play for? And Jackie Sherrill won. So, I mean, he didn't exactly leave friends at Pitt when he left for A&M. So that kind of baffled me when I heard that. I hang my hat on a couple of different things. The difference in defense, we gave up there's only 10 yards difference in the amount of yards and the number of yards that we gave up to Pitt. We gave up 219. Pitt gave up 209. We gave away a lot more passing than we did rushing. Our rushing numbers were better than Pitt's. I mean, if Joe could have written. Joe was sitting back there doing his homework most of the game while he was waiting to throw the ball. Okay, the guy had time. He just refused to look at any mid route receivers. He was looking down the field the whole time. So if we can cure that and he can actually put a little touch on the ball, I think we have a shot. I'm taking this and the points. I say we win by touchdown.
Ooh.
I mean it's gonna be close. It's gonna be tense. But yeah, I say 6. I'd take us -6 in this one.
Okay. Mitch.
It's right there. It's right there on the screen.
Ooh.
Dren, I think that Joe Milton is a liability.
Josie picked Pitt.
Josie picked Pitt. And let me tell you what Josie said. She said, "Is that like Pittsburgh?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "That's in Pennsylvania." I said, "Yep." She goes, "I like them."
Damn.
So there you go. There you go.
But not this time, kid.
I don't know, man. She's like, what's their mascot? I'm like, so for the Missouri Kentucky game, she's like, what's their mascot? I said, Kentucky's Wildcats. Missouri's the Tigers. She said, I like Wildcats. And that's the answer. I'm like, all right, cool. So typically that's what she does.
Wait, did you take Pitt, man?
I'm taking Pitt. I think that Joe Milton's not the guy. He's not the answer.
We'll find out.
He looked really good on that first drive, or looked. I was all right. Let's see this, and then just went to sleep. You talking about doing his homework? No, man, that dude was sleeping on the field.
Well, yeah. If he holds the ball as long as he did against Bowling Green, if he tries to hold the ball that long against Pitt, he's going to get turned into.
So there it is. It's on the board.
Even I'll admit that, but I still think we'll win.
All right. Well, you should root for your boys.
I think our run game's going to be the difference.
Oh boy, this is going to be a good one.
I'm excited about this one. Sure wish we could have got Rohan tonight.
Dang, that is true. Maybe we can pick him or Dargan or both up next week after the game to kind of chime in on it, depending on how that
isn't listening. Dargan,
where is Dargan? Maybe we'll see. Texas is going to Arkansas though, and they are a 6.5 point favorite.
Which was why the line. I think is the only reason why the line is that low is it's in Fayetteville.
Okay.
I think you're looking at double digits if it's in Austin.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
I have to agree.
Okay.
Who wants to go first?
Ethan.
I'll go first because the one question on my mind when I see this matchup: why isn't this played at Jerry World?
Yep.
Jerry Jones played for Arkansas. You're playing Texas. Make it happen. Who gives crap? Okay, I'm sorry, Dargan. I don't mean that. I'm sure Fayetteville's lovely this time of year. I'm going Texas here. I underestimated Sarkisian. They look good last week. So I'm going Texas. They're gonna cover the 6.5. I think they win by at least a touchdown. Arkansas has never really been a place that I am scared of going into play. We haven't had to do it too much, but their home field advantage can be lacking sometimes. I don't think it will be for this game. I think they're going to be pretty pumped to play Texas. I think Arkansas is kind of in that weird area to where their rivals don't really mesh with the SEC. And Texas is one of those schools, the people who really care about Arkansas really want to see Arkansas beat. So I think it'll be lit, but I think Texas wins by about 10.
Yeah, I think it's the old adage of what down in Chattanooga they say about the Saudi Daisy Redback game. Saudi would win the football game, but Redbank will win the fight after the game, and I think that's what's going to happen here. I think Texas is going to win the game on the field, and the brawl outside is going to be won by the Hogs. I think it's another instance. Last week, the difference in talent on the field. Louisiana Lafayette is a much better team than Rice. I don't think anybody's going to debate that. Arkansas fell asleep. They had a great second half. They finally woke up. But Rice had it was 21. It was 21-7 at 120 for 17-7, 21-7 at one point, and then Arkansas finally woke up and scored 21 in the fourth quarter. Something like that. I mean, it was just
Arkansas beat Rice 38-17, and Texas beat the Cajuns 38.
They were down most of that game, and they finally got to get. I mean, Trevion Smith bailed them out. He was, 22. He had 102 yards and touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
They ran for 245 total. And the defense, between him and the defense had 3 picks. So that really helped them too. And then Mr. Card was a very efficient.
Hudson Card
was 14. He didn't do a whole lot.
Listen, dude, you ain't got to talk about Hudson Card. Say the name.
Is a very, very efficient. I mean, he was very efficient, and he did what he needed to do.
The only thing he needs to do is give it to Bijan Robinson. That man is going to eat. He's going to eat some bacon bits this weekend.
Yeah.
I got Texas. I ain't gonna let them Shorthorns make a fool of me twice in a row.
So Mitch got Texas.
Yeah, all 3 of us taking Texas. Matt, you're
Aaron's
last.
got Texas. Florida's got Texas.
Yeah, and Josie's got Texas.
And it's in Arkansas.
It is in Arkansas.
But Arkansas has been, for some strange, I can't explain it.
Oh,
Arkansas has become my team of the West. I'm Stewie Pig, man, and I think it's because of Sam Pittman. I mean, God, how can you not like the Tiki Doll offensive line recruiting? They just come to him. They come to him. Yes, sir. But it ain't gonna be enough. Texas is gonna get that ass.
Oh, look at you!
I'm not gonna let them make a fool out of me neither. I love me some Arkansas. It's a feel-good story, right? It's a feel-good story. You want them to become a thorn in the side of the West, but you don't want them to get too good. Like, I like you, but I don't like you. So I'm going with Texas.
All right, fine. Last one here. NC State visits Stark Vegas, baby. NC State's a 2.5-point favorite.
I think it's no faith in that. That's a pick 'em. Anything less than 3 points is a coin flip, guys. I'm serious.
I mean, I hear you, but I just can't understand why would NC State draw the pick?
I'll tell you why. There's a lot of people talking about NC State may give Clemson that second L. They're talking about that right now.
Here's my problem. This is my problem. I'm going to go with the Dogs, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
NC State had 0, and I mean 0, pass rush on South Florida. If they can't generate a pass rush against the Bulldogs, they're going to get that ass carved up. And it ain't even going to be close. It'll be worse than the LSU game last year. That's the one stat that absolutely just like, guys, that ain't good. No sacks at all against South Florida.
But they're going up against the same Mississippi State team that just beat Louisiana Tech by 1 point.
I know, and I totally understand that. But that stat really, I'm just kind of like that. That's a big flashing red light to me, man. I mean, I'm probably wrong, and I'll take the hit if I am.
Dren's taking the Dogs.
But I'm taking the Dogs. It's gonna be a major upset, but I'm picking the Dogs because that stat just.
I mean, I'm with you, Dren. I'm taking the Dogs as well.
Dave Doran, I am not sold on Dave Doran as a coach. I wasn't sold I didn't want him when he was a candidate for the job at UT.
Y'all didn't want anybody though.
The guys had one quality season.
They didn't want anybody.
In the fucking MAC. When he was at Northern Illinois.
They want nobody.
Ethan, did you say you're taking the Dogs?
I'm taking the Dogs.
Mm.
The maroon dogs.
Yeah.
He won't take the red ones. He'll take the maroon ones. Big. Okay.
Not even once. I think this is going to be Mike Leach's LSU game from last year, where he comes out and he has a game plan. I think Leach he's famous for dropping these games that they squeak by.
Hi, Heather.
Heather said, "Are you still on?" I said, "Yes." She goes,
"Oh, brother, we've hit the 1 hour mark. That whole thing about hey, it's too long. That's out the window."
Well, also, this is the last pick. So she said, "Are you?" She said, "Are you still on?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Okay, well, never mind." I said, "What's the matter?" She said, "I wanted to try out your new chair."
Oh, bring her on.
So nothing pressing.
Okay. See there?
Ooh, nice. Looks comfy.
It's quite comfy.
Nice little ass pads in there.
It cushions my buns. All right, so let's get caught up here. Dren is taking the Dogs.
Yep.
Matt is taking. Did you pick already?
I ain't picked yet.
Ethan picked.
Okay. Ethan picked the Dogs. Josie picked the Dogs. Mitch is taking the Pack. I'm taking NC.
Why?
Like you said, they might be that team. They beat UMass. Look, okay, fine. It's sorry, not UMass.
Are you flustered or what?
USF. They beat USF to death, right? 45-0. I don't think that Mississippi State is ready for that. Like Ethan said, they barely beat La Tech, by 1. I'm not saying that La Tech and USF are world beaters or anything like that, but NC State did what they're supposed to do.
La Tech is a good lower middle of the pack team. They were like last year. They were like 70 in the 70s, high 70s, and everything statistically.
So, but this real quick. I feel like Mike Leach has a history of playing down to his competition. I feel like that's what happened here. I think that they got caught looking ahead to next week when they play NC State. And I think that they're going to come out just like they did against LSU last year and show out because Mike Leach has that game plan. I think they thought, I know everybody likes to say, oh, they don't keep things in the playbook. Oh, they do the best plays they can. Dan Mullen does it. Kirby Smart, everybody does it to where you don't put on film stuff that you're going to bust out in games that matter. You don't run your fake punts. You don't run your field goal reverse. You don't run your wheel routes. Oh, wait, yeah, you do. You save it for the games that matter so that, sure, they might have film from 4 years ago that they get an analyst to look at. That's a lot different than what you're going to be practicing for every week when it's a staple of your offense. And I think that Mike Leach does that. I think that got them behind against Louisiana Tech where they thought they could be cute. Tech hit them in the mouth, and they had to play catch-up. I don't think they're going to let NC State sneak up on them this time.
We run our fake punts, and not even Justin Fields could save them. Oh, man, I was leaning Pack, but then Dren shared that very interesting statistic. 0 pass rush, and you're going to take that in to start with all those bells ringing in your head, and Mike Leach pulling the trigger. I'm taking the Dogs, the maroon one on this one.
Ooh. So am I by myself?
You might damn self on that.
Josie took the Dogs as well. All right, so let me make sure. Check me here. Check me here. Make sure that I have everybody. Am I missing anything? Trent's got
think
5
you're good.
picks.
That's 5
Matt's got
games.
5 picks. Mitch's got 5 picks. Ethan's got 5 picks.
You are,
Yep.
my brother. You are on your own on 2. I hate to tell you that.
Hold on, real quick. We had an hour. We got to go, but damn, this game should have made it in. Quick fire, rapid reaction. The Cyhawk game, Iowa State, probably more relevant than some of the games that we chose to pick. But people talking about Iowa State, they got a lot of folks returning. I think like all of them.
Yep.
This is a rivalry game.
This is the bonus pick. This is the bonus pick.
This is
That
the bonus
doesn't
pick,
count towards the
and
record.
I mean, like these guys are 9 and 10. Number 9 versus number 10.
Yeah.
Who you got?
Iowa State. Cyclones.
Iowa State. And
You know what, man? I'm taking Iowa. I'm taking Iowa. I was not impressed by Iowa State last year.
Iowa State always has that one game at the beginning of the year against the Sisters of the Poor that they barely escape from, and then they end up beating.
I mean, last year,
Five,
the Raging Cajuns got them.
It's in Ames.
Don't care. I like Iowa.
You don't win in Ames.
I'm gonna take the Hawkeyes.
Mitch is going with Iowa. Dren's got Iowa State. Florida, what you got?
I will take Iowa. I think that whole they bring back everybody. Yeah, well, if everybody sucks to begin with.
They don't. That's the thing.
Damn.
When Georgia and Alabama and Tennessee and Florida bring back 95% of their production, those teams are terrifying. When Iowa State and Iowa and Fresno State and Louisiana Lafayette do it, that's all. That's the best I can muster. Is
I'm gonna take the Cyclones because you don't win in Ames.
I love it. So the two leaders, Ethan, are taking the Cyclones, and the two.
Honestly, I kind of like the juxtaposition of the Cyhawk game being on the same weekend that UT is playing Pitt this year, because guess where Johnny Major's first head coaching job was? Iowa State.
Well,
there you go.
And there's your trivia
I like
weekend, folks.
I like the linear feel of that.
All right, so before we get out of here, Dren, you want to make an announcement here to these people?
9:30 p.m. Thursday night, Eastern Standard Time. Young Brandon and I will be on for the Very Orange live stream to talk about this week's game against Pittsburgh. We will definitely delve deeper into what we thought were good, what was good, what was bad.
Man, I'm tempted to just come on and just yell Joe Milton
always
sucks
welcome.
and then jet.
I mean,
Yeah, I had that
last week
temptation
for the
as
class
well.
at the joint and had to leave because of a bad connection.
Yeah.
But come on. I mean, I
Mitch, we should do to them
all the time.
what they did to
You're more
me
than
when I
welcome.
tried to stream with them, and they were at a bar with a laptop and 2 cell phones, and it was.
Oh, you talking about us?
Yeah, you were.
Oh, that was at Jenkins's Deli. All of the Jenkins family in Cleveland, Athens, Tennessee. The founder of those restaurants passed away this past week, and just really trying.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Thanks
sorry
for
to hear that.
bringing
Yeah,
us
that
all the way to the
really
ground.
brought us out on a high note here.
But we're going to try to do something similar this year, hopefully for the Georgia game. I have a connection. I have a connection with a one of the more popular bars on the Strip, and maybe we can swing a back room.
Thursday 9:30.
We'll be back here
9:30.
Tuesday, 9:30 ish. Are we gonna see a Florida show again ever?
So my faithful Florida companion, number one, I did a follow-up for the Arkansas game, and me and Dargan had a nice little session. My problem is that outside of Dargan, all of you guys can kiss my ass because I hate your teams, and Dargan is the only nice person that is in this group. So,
I mean, he's not wrong, Dargan.
no, we had a good one.
He is the most renaissance of all of us, being
Yes.
a published author and
Published author,
attorney
lawyer,
and
all that good stuff.
extract driver. He's been there, done that.
But
I don't even think Ducati could hate him if he tried.
Yeah, we might do one before the Alabama game. I will make sure to pass the word along. Unfortunately, we haven't really had a whole lot to talk about.
You know what would be an excellent pairing for you though is for you to get Warren Tidwell. I know he's listening out there. If you and Warren would get on, it would be Auburn and Florida on the same stream.
Yeah, baby.
Just so Matt and I could both just hate, just focused hate.
When Matt was talking about Arkansas being his best team, I mean that's my team from the West. I mean they hate Georgia as much as I hate Georgia. They spoil Alabama every so often. They're orange and blue. They're geographically the closest school to us, so there's a lot of things to it. So yeah, Auburn's my team from the West.
I got two words for your hogs. Gig 'em.
Yeah. Hey, great show, guys.
We appreciate the pub.
Thank you.
I've got to get to bed, guys. So
yeah,
it's past
super
my
fun.
bedtime. I got
it was fun.
to teach tomorrow.
Yeah.
So.
Good night, everyone.
Have a good night, everybody.
I'll update the picks, the standings on maybe late Saturday or early Sunday, and we'll see if Ethan can pick himself up by his bootstraps.
Yeah, I'm trying.
All right, boys. As always, catch you on the flip side. See you Thursday night, 9:30 p.m.
All right, later on, everybody.
See y'all later.
Later on.